Absolutely no doubt. But the Prophet did not die a natural death. Two wives of Rasulullah, Aisha and Hafsa, were responsible for poisoning Rasulullah.
Nowhere does the Quran say one of his wives gave poison. There's no such verse like that. Maybe where you're getting this from, check your source.
Welcome to another day of Dawah. Today my topic is going to talk about Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his death, how he died, and the implications of that. But first, before I get into the topic, I need to talk about this one thing. So I met this extreme Islamophobe, and he said to me that Islam is a religion of violence. And I said, prove it. And he accepted the challenge on one condition. He said, if I prove this to you, then you must shave your beard and your head. And I said, okay, but if I prove to you that Islam is a religion of peace, then you must do the same. We both accepted, and I'm about to prove to him that Islam is indeed a religion of peace.
3 days later.
Okay, as you can see that I obviously lost the bet, and Islam is no doubt a religion of violence, which I sort of knew going into it, but I thought I could manipulate the verses as most good Muslims do. But anyway, let's get back into the video and let's recap on those two videos that we saw before.
Two wives of Rasulullah, Aisha and Hafsa, were responsible for poisoning Rasulullah.
Nowhere does the Quran say one of his wives gave poison. There's no such verse like that. Maybe where you're getting this from, check your source.
So as you can see, there's two opposing opinions. And we see this a lot in Islam. Most Muslims disagree about everything. The only thing that they seem to agree on is the death of Jews and Christians. But in this case, the only thing that these Muslims can agree on is this one fact.
There is absolutely no doubt. But the Prophet did not die a natural death.
Rasulullah was poisoned is a fact, mentioned in Sunni books and Shia books.
So you might be asking, how many books are there where it says that Muhammad is poisoned? Let's ask the Sheikh.
In many Sunni books and Shia books, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his holy progeny was poisoned. Yes.
So he was definitely poisoned, unequivocally, without any doubts.
Yes.
According to your sect of Islam, which is Shia Islam, who killed Muhammad by poison?
Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, or Abu Bakr, Umar, Aisha and Hafsa were those who conspired against the Prophet, blessings be upon him and his progeny, and killed him via poison.
Now, what's your proof and inclinations that this is indeed the truth?
What she states in Al-Bukhari, Hadith al-Ladud, where she states, I fed the messenger a substance. And he was saying, do not feed me. But she still fed him this substance.
And any other proofs?
We have sufficient proof from within the books of the Khassa and the Amma. Aisha and Hafsa were responsible for poisoning Rasulullah. The manner in which Rasulullah was forcefully fed this unknown substance.
So we see the hadith that these guys are talking about. And indeed, Aisha did pour the medicine into the mouth of the Prophet. But this last bit, it says, there is none of you but will be forced to drink medicine except Al-Abbas, for he did not witness your deed. So Muhammad made them drink the same medicine that was force-fed to him. So this can't be the one, or otherwise the ones that are accused of giving him the poison would have also received the poison and died. Now let's go back to Dr. Zakir Naik, and he was given this question to answer at one of his rallies. Let's listen to it.
I came across the Quran that Muhammad was given poison from one of his wives, and she gives in such a way that if he is the right prophet, he must be able to discern that he's been given that poison.
Nowhere does the Quran say one of his wives gave poison. There's no such verse like that. Maybe where you're getting this from, check your source.
So Zakir Naik is true in this point that there's no Quran verse that says that anyone gave Muhammad poison. But he is not telling the truth. He's deliberately misleading this lady, because there is references and sources out there that describe Muhammad being poisoned, and the result of this poison, him dying. Let's check him out. This is Ibn Sayyad, volume 2, page 251. And the Jews asked the followers of Muhammad, what piece of the goat does he like? And they said, the foreleg. Then the Jews became united on one poison. And then she poisoned the she-goat by putting more poison on the foreleg, the part which Muhammad liked. Then it was served to him, and then Muhammad took one bit of the foreleg, and then Bisha took another bone of the foreleg, and they both put it to their mouths. They both ate it. Muhammad said, hold back your hands, because the foreleg has just informed me that it is poison. Now, what was the question that lady asked to Zakir Naik? This is a Sunni source. Zakir Naik knows this source.
And she gives in such a way that if he is the right prophet, he must be able to discern that he's been given that poison.
So why is it extremely important for the lamb to inform Muhammad that it is indeed poison? I'm going to show you why. Muhammad sent for Zainab, which was the woman that poisoned the sheep or the goat, depending what source you read. What induced you to do what you have done? She replied, you have done to my people what you have done. You have killed my father, you have killed my uncle, you have killed my husband. So I said to myself, if you are a prophet, the foreleg will inform you. And others have said, if you are a king, it will get rid of you. Now I just want to show the stupidity. Muhammad slaughters her whole family and then accepts a meal from her hands. Strategic genius, this guy is. Moreover, they needed to have a narrative where Muhammad knew that this foreleg was actually poison so that he can still be shown as a prophet. So here, when Muhammad says, hold back your hands because the meat has informed him that it's poison, Bisha says, I discovered it was poison from the morsel I took. He goes on to say, and I also thought you would not have eaten it if there was something wrong with it. So Muhammad needed a revelation to inform him that this goat or this sheep was poison. But Bisha, while he's munching on that foreleg, knew it was poison because he could taste it. But he thought that Muhammad was a prophet, and if Muhammad was a prophet, then he would know if there was something wrong. So Bisha puts all this faith in Muhammad, and it ultimately gets him killed. This is what happens to Muslims when you put your faith in Muhammad and you die. You're ultimately going to lose salvation. He ain't going to save you. Now, if Muhammad was a true prophet, this is what would have happened. He would have woke up that morning. Allah would have said to him, look, Muhammad, eat 7 ajwa dates. Because we all know that if you eat 7 ajwa dates in the morning, then you will not be poisoned. You cannot be poisoned and no magic can harm you. And also, Muhammad, while you're having dinner, just in case those ajwa dates are bad, make sure you have a cup of camel urine. Because we all know that camel urine is medicine and it helps you with sicknesses and diseases.
Everything we read about how you should die applies most to the Prophet ﷺ. That when a person dies, either they are relieved of this world or the world is relieved from them.
These are some words of wisdom from this Muslim man. When someone dies, either they are relieved of this world or the world is relieved of them. Ultimately, when Muhammad died, the Arab Peninsula was relieved of him. But his followers stuck around and followed the immoral character of Muhammad, which led to many more wars and many murders. Aisha didn't kill Muhammad, Hafsa didn't kill Muhammad, and if you take Islam seriously, if you take Islam and the Quran seriously, then this Jewish woman, Zainab, also did not kill Muhammad. Let me explain. Quran, Surah 69, verse 44 to 46, it says, if Muhammad had made up about us, a plural term for God, if God is completely one, why is he using plural terms? No idea, Quran makes no sense. But anyway, if Muhammad makes up false sayings, then we would have seized him by the right hand, then we would have cut from him the aorta. The question is there any sources for evidence that Muhammad did indeed fabricate anything? The book of Tabari, volume 6, Muhammad said, I have fabricated things against God and have imputed to him words which he has not spoken. So we have evidence that Muhammad did impute to God things that God hasn't spoken. Now, some people might say that in that second verse, it says that God has to seize him or have something to do with his right hand. But if you look at the Islamic sources, it's through the hadiths that Muhammad only ate with his right hand. It was commanded. So when he picked up that foreleg and ate it, it was with his right hand. So that right hand caused him to be poisoned. Now, do we have any evidence that his aorta was cut? Well, if you look in the book of Tabari, volume 8, we see that Muhammad says, I feel at this very moment that my aorta is being severed from the food that I ate at Khaybar, from the poison that he ate at Khaybar. So we see we have the fabrication, we have the seizing or something to do with the right hand being involved with the death, and we have Muhammad professing that his aorta was being cut. This is divine poetic justice if I've ever seen it before. So with all the evidence in front of you today, and then someone comes up and says to you that Muhammad wasn't poisoned or his death wasn't caused by poison, then you only have this one thing to say to him and to say to all the other sheikhs who teach this nonsense.
What happened to you, Dylan? He used to be somebody I could trust.
So before I leave you guys, I'd like you to choose who you would rather serve. Would you rather serve someone who God could not protect, who God let die 3 years with a poison that he had to be, at the end of his life, dragged everywhere? Or would you rather serve a God according to Islam who didn't die at all, who had someone else put on the cross and who was raised up to heaven, which in turn of this stupidity caused billions of people to commit shirk, to commit the ultimate sin, to believe in Jesus Christ as being God? I almost see a correlation between the two. A God that can do this, that can lead billions of people into a false religion, and someone who will murder someone's whole family and then eat the food that was offered to him. Both of those are equally stupid and incompetent. The decision is yours. Who would you rather serve? The God of the Bible or Allah, who is, at the end of the day, incompetent and couldn't even protect the final and greatest prophet of Islam?